Good afternoon, everybody. Anthony Aniano here from RotoBaller Radio and RotoBaller.com with an early look at your Week 17 Fantasy Football Waiver Wire. Championship weekend waiver wire. So congratulations if you are sitting here still watching. Good chance that you are still playing for some championship glory in your fantasy football league. As always, we use Yahoo roster percentages as our talking point, trying to find players available in 50% of or more leagues. And as always, recording this Sunday before the Sunday night and Monday night matchup. So obviously players can emerge, other injuries can occur. So check in the YouTube comments here for any other players that may pop up that I recommend. Some injuries of note in Week 16. If you survived the Jalen Hurts concussion, still making it to finals, kudos to you. Who knows what his status will be next week in Week 17. James Conner, big game, but suffers a knee injury for the Arizona Cardinals. Drake London, wide receiver, Atlanta Falcons, suffering a hamstring injury. Those were the biggest injuries to be reported so far from Week 16. So, that being said, if you have to make up for Jalen Hurts, you don't have a QB2 on your roster, you've been riding with Jalen Hurts, a couple of players to be mindful of. First up, Geno Smith, rostered in 53% of Yahoo leagues, available in 47% of them. 314 yards, 3 passing touchdowns this week against the Minnesota Vikings, 2 interceptions. We know the last one was costly, sealed the win for Minnesota, but he did finish with 28 fantasy points in a 6-point per passing touchdown format to Geno Smith, and he's on the road against the Chicago Bears in Week 17, a Bears defense that allowed about 340 passing yards and 3 touchdowns to Jared Goff, a 35 fantasy point game for Goff this week against the Chicago Bears. If Geno's already rostered and you're in a deeper format, maybe you have to take a look at Bryce Young of the Carolina Panthers. Now, I get it. I don't love it in championship week. However, Bryce Young available in 93% of Yahoo leagues. He went 17 of 26, 158, 2 passing touchdowns, 5 carries, 68 yards, and a rushing touchdown this week, 31 fantasy points, and a great matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary that is giving up the second most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. In his last 5 games, Bryce Young has 6 passing touchdowns, 3 rushing, for a total of 9 touchdowns in his last 5 games to only 3 interceptions. Now, in need of a running back, well, the top ad has to be Trey Benson of the Arizona Cardinals in planning ahead in case he fills in for James Conner. I know DJ Dallas is there. There are other running backs there. Michael Carter, the former Jet, is there. Trey Benson did not play in Week 16 due to an ankle injury. He is expected to return in Week 17. So take the flyer on Benson for Week 17 if you've been relying on James Conner. Now, that being said, he's available in 82% of Yahoo formats. And why do we love him? Well, it's a great matchup against the worst run defense in the league against the Carolina Panthers. It's very simple. If Conner is out, Trey Benson starts, I am getting Trey Benson in my lineups in championship weekend. The other running back I wanted to mention in case you lose out on Trey Benson, Denver Bronco rookie Audric Estime. 7% roster, 93% available. This past Thursday night, he went 9 for 48 and a touchdown, 10.8 fantasy points. Good matchup against the Bengals' run defense in Week 17. He had 5 more carries than Javonte Williams, taking over the lead back role, and Jaleel McLaughlin was out with a quad injury. If McLaughlin remains out, Estime could remain the guy for the Denver Broncos. If you need a wide receiver to make up for Drake London, take a look in Kansas City at Marquise Hollywood Brown, returning from injury in his first start on that Saturday game for the Kansas City Chiefs. 32% rostered, available in 68% of leagues. 8 targets, 5 for 45, 9.5 fantasy points. Tough matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers in what continues to be must-win situations for the Chiefs to try to get that number 1 seed. Now, Xavier Worthy led the Chiefs with 11 targets. Hollywood Brown was second with 8. It wasn't D-Hop, it wasn't Kelsey, it was Hollywood Brown coming back from injury, quickly becoming a favorite of Patrick Mahomes. And finally, if you need a tight end, take a look at Tennessee and Chig Okonkwo. 6% roster, 94% available. This past week for Tennessee with Mason Rudolph under center, targeted 11 times, 9 catches for 81 yards, 19.1 fantasy points in a PPR format. Great matchup next week for Okonkwo as well. Now, over the last 2 games, Okonkwo has 17 catches on 21 targets and 140 yards. In those 2 games, he has a total of 33 fantasy points. So to recap, my top ads for Week 17 of your fantasy football season, championship weekend: quarterbacks to replace Jalen Hurts, Geno Smith, and Bryce Young; running backs to potentially replace James Conner, Trey Benson, and Audric Estime; wide receivers, in case you lose Drake London, Hollywood Brown of the Kansas City Chiefs; and at tight end, Okonkwo of the Tennessee Titans. Folks, don't forget to go to RotoBaller.com. Make sure you check out the main page, the premium package, sign up with the promo code ACES, and save at checkout. Remember, RotoBaller covers football, baseball, hockey, NBA, PGA Tour, NASCAR, you name it. RotoBaller has you covered. Season-long DFS, sports betting, whatever your interests are. Like and subscribe right here to the RotoBaller YouTube channel. And make sure you download the RotoBaller app. It is completely free. Everything you see online right there in the palm of your hand. On another note, this will be the last football video of the season for me, the last waiver wire season, with championship weekend being next week. So I want to thank everybody who tuned in all season long. I appreciate, and RotoBaller appreciates the support. I'll be back in the spring and baseball season working the waiver wire for your fantasy baseball teams, and obviously back next year when NFL season kicks off as well. You can still hear myself and the rest of the RotoBaller Radio crew on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio Sundays through Fridays, 6 to 7 a.m. All right, everybody, as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time right here on RotoBaller Radio.